During the 1930s and 1940s, the OTO Lodge in California was headed by a brilliant young rocket designer called Jack Parsons. Jack Parsons developed patented rocket technology which is still in use by NASA to this day. NASA named a crater on the dark side of the moon in honor of Jack Parsons. Jack Parsons worked during the day to develop rocket propulsion systems which would serve NASA's space program, which was controlled by ex-Nazi SS officers such as Werner von Braun, who had been brought to the USA by the CIA's Project Paperclip. At night, Jack Parsons would hold sex magic rituals in his house in Pasadena and initiate fellow scientists at the Los Alamos Atomic Bomb Laboratory. Jack Parsons was fully aware of what his rocket designs would eventually be used for. Not far from Jack Parsons' rocket lab in Pasadena, Robert Oppenheimer was building the world's first atom bomb, which would be exploded at Los Alamos near a place called the Road of Death, which lies on the 33rd degree parallel. Once installed as the head of the OTO's American operation, Jack Parsons conducted a giant satanic ritual, aided by a fellow OTO member with the codename Freighter H. In 1948, the same year that George Bush Sr. was baptized as Magog, Jack Parsons undertook one of the most dark rituals known to Kabbalists, the Babylon working. This ritual requires the initiate to visualize the Kabbalistic tree of life, with its 10 spheres and 22 connecting pathways. Between the top 3 spheres and the lower 7 spheres, there is the so-called abyss, the place where one's personality, possibly even one's sanity, is potentially destroyed. If the initiate successfully spans the abyss with personality intact, then he becomes a black brother of the Kabbalah, a black magician of the so-called left-hand path. In the tradition of Judaic mysticism, these black magicians are utter evil and are in themselves pestilence. This giant Babylon working ritual saw Parsons, aided by his magical protege, Freighter H, project their astral bodies into the dark abyss of Lucifer. 1948 saw George Bush Sr. baptized in the name of Magog, the spirit who would lead the army of demons against Christ at the apocalypse of Armageddon. That same year, Jack Parsons baptized himself as Belerion Armilas al-Dajjal, the Antichrist. Parsons took on the ancient Judaic teaching that Christ and his church were the enemy of civilization, and that they had to be destroyed. On a 40-day pilgrimage in the Mojave Desert, the place where Area 51 now resides, Parsons summoned forth Babylon, the Scarlet Woman, the whore of the apocalypse, the consort of the great beast Satan 666. According to the mysterious Freighter H, during the ritual he saw Parsons rip a hole in space-time, and something evil flew in. So who was the mysterious Freighter H? None other than the author and inventor of the new cult religion of Scientology, Mr. L. Ron Hubbard. Former initiate of Aleister Crowley's OTO, Hubbard wrote a so-called sacred text called Dianetics, which now has an inspired following of evangelical millionaires in Hollywood, just as the Kabbalah training schools are now brim full of people who had their interest in these Judaic magical techniques inspired by Britney Spears and Madonna. Jack Parsons had a sex magic partner in the OTO named Marjorie Cameron. Whilst staying with her friend Renata Drux in Hollywood, Marjorie Cameron confessed that she had been part of the Babylon working ritual. She said that it had been devised by Jack Parsons, L. Ron Hubbard, Aleister Crowley, and Manhattan Project scientists based at the Los Alamos Atomic Bomb Research Unit, headed by Jewish scientist Robert Oppenheimer. Marjorie Cameron confessed that during the Babylon working ritual, assisted by L. Ron Hubbard, Jack Parsons had sexually impregnated her at the point when the spirit of the Antichrist was bestowed upon him. Cameron Parsons had been made pregnant with the child of the Antichrist. They were breeding what the Kabbalah describes as a golem, or a golem.
Oh, you are sick.
A golem is an artificially created humanoid, usually made from dead human body parts, which is animated by the magician chanting incantations and mantras. These magical voice sounds are what Kabbalists call twilight language. Isaac Bashevis Singer, winner of the Nobel Prize for Literature, once wrote, "The Kabbalah teaches that dead matter is not really dead, but can be brought to life as a golem by chanting mantras. The Talmud speaks of Rabbi Rava, who had the power to create golems. We are living in an epoch of golem makers right now." In the horrific film Rosemary's Baby, directed by Roman Polanski, a satanic cult in New York, led by a character based on Aleister Crowley, summoned forth Satan to impregnate a young girl and breed an Antichrist golem child. Notice that Satan's body is partly reptilian. Interestingly, the devil in Rosemary's Baby is played by none other than Anton LaVey, founder of the American Church of Satan. Jack Parsons told his former master that the fetus of the golem was later extracted from the womb of Cameron Parsons by government agents who delivered the fetus to a special team at the Manhattan Project atomic bomb facility.
And if you take a look at what Alex Jones is doing on video, a friend of mine who's got a talk show in America, he's going out into places like the Bohemian Grove.
Six years ago, American broadcaster Alex Jones and his cameraman Mike Hansen infiltrated Bohemian Grove, a gigantic private forest owned by the Bohemian Club of San Francisco. For 130 years, the Bohemian Club has been holding rituals for 2 weeks each summer in a private 2,000-acre redwood forest.
There was a surprising development in the summer of 2005. A Bohemian Grove employee decided to videotape some of the activities in the Grove and to give us the footage. The footage you're seeing was shot on a tiny digital camera, so the quality isn't the best, but the images are powerful. The individual that gave us this footage asked that we not release their name. Our source was able to confirm what we had seen in internal Bohemian Grove documents and annals, that the elite of the elite attend the Grove. The Grove's own internal annals brag that the Manhattan Project, or the plan to create the A-bomb, was hatched inside this building known as the Chalet. The Strategic Defense Initiative, better known as Star Wars, was also the brainchild of Grove members and was born inside the Chalet. Our source worked at the Grove in the summer of 2004 and the summer of 2005, and he was able to obtain 2 program covers for the cremation of care ceremony, as well as a 2005 membership list, which reads like a who's who of U.S. and European elite. Former President Jimmy Carter, former President George Herbert Walker Bush, President Bush, Henry Kissinger, George Shultz, the list goes on and on.
When it came to create the modern equivalent of the Philosopher's Stone to master alchemy at its highest level, changing one element into another, changing uranium into plutonium, one of the highest secrets of alchemy. Where did the S1 Uranium Committee of the Manhattan Project meet? Well, they of course consummated their alchemical knowledge in the Bohemian Grove. Amongst ancient trees, grown men listened to the manic laughter of Satan, wearing owl masks and black robes. It was here, at Bohemian Grove, that the consummation of thousands of years of alchemical atomic research took place. Nothing less than the birth of the bomb. American author Michael Hoffman, in his book Secret Societies and Psychological Warfare, speculates that the golem fetus may have been placed inside a giant 25-foot long, 12-foot in diameter canister, which was photographed at the Los Alamos Atomic Bomb Test Range. This mysterious canister was nicknamed Jumbo. It was made of solid lead and cement. It is conceivable that the fetus was placed in the center of the canister and then irradiated with the blast of the world's first atomic bomb, thus infusing the demon child with what Kabbalists call the demonic force of atomic fire.
You have a grandstand seat here to one of the most momentous events in the history of science. In less than a minute, you will see the most powerful explosion ever witnessed by human eyes. The blast will come out of the horizon just about there. And this is the significance of the moment. This is the first full-scale test of a hydrogen device. If the reaction goes, we're in the thermonuclear era. For the sake of all of us, and for the sake of our country, I know that you join me in wishing this expedition well.
It is now 30 seconds to zero time. Put on goggles or turn away. Do not remove goggles or face burst until 10 seconds after the first light.
Minus 15 seconds. Minus 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Two years later, Parsons revealed to his mother that his golem child had lived, and that it was female. A fan of ancient Indian mantras was the Jewish evil genius Robert Oppenheimer. His team of Manhattan Project scientists took advanced alchemy to its absolute evil limits.
Not be the same. Few people laughed. Few people cried. Most people were silent. I remember line from the Hindu scripture, the Bhagavad Gita. Vishnu is trying to persuade the prince that he should do his duty, and to impress him takes on his multi-armed form and says, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds, the destroyer of worlds, the destroyer of worlds."
Robert Oppenheimer and his Jewish scientists, the four horsemen of the apocalypse, named the first atomic bomb Trinity. Was this in reference to the Christian Trinity? Or is it a veiled reference to the great beast, the Scarlet Woman, and the Antichrist? Welcome to what Aleister Crowley called the Aeon of Thelema. Thelema is the Greek word for willpower. This, as we shall see in the third volume of the Illuminati, is the age of Thelema, where the whole of humanity is being processed, bombarded with images of death. This is the new world order.